We're back!
Hello, welcome to the Cine Sisters podcast, where we talk about horror films and sometimes things that aren't exactly horror films.
Yeah, that's a good
I'm Tara.
of what we do.
I'm Tara.
I'm Valerie.
And Laura's Valerie today.
And I'm Veronica.
Yes, you are. I don't know if anyone will get that.
No one will.
Was it Veronica?
I'm Vanessa.
It's Vanessa, yeah. And I'm Vanessa.
And I'm Vanessa.
Yes, you are. No one will get that joke.
Except for us.
And we're okay with that.
And it's alright.
So we've taken a break for a couple weeks. I hope our millions of listeners have missed us. We missed you. I went to Paris. And Laura went to Hawaii.
Hawaii. Yes. Yes, I did.
The only thing that's kind of cool that might be relevant to listeners here is I went to the catacombs of Paris and saw a lot of skulls. I'll post a photo to our Instagram maybe later. But there were a lot of, it's like millions of skeletons in there that they kind of set up to look funky and cool.
Are they real skeletons?
Oh, yeah.
Why?
Mass graves and stuff like that. Yeah. Just dumped bodies into places and because there wasn't anywhere to put them. So that's Paris, cool. The romantic city of skeletons underground.
I love that.
It's pretty cool.
Nothing says romance like a bunch of skeletons underground, so.
I know, right? I mean,
how neat is that?
Skeletons are a girl's best friend. Anything cool happen in Hawaii?
We had a heated toilet seat.
Okay.
How neat is that?
Was it possessed? Is that why it was heated?
No. Yep. It's from hell. The burning fires of hell, the toilet seat.
They heated my bum.
No, but it was the best thing. I've never had a heated toilet seat. Whenever you have to go to the bathroom, it's like, oh, cold. But this, it was just like... and it wasn't like warm, like oh, someone's been sitting here. No, it's like a hot stone fire, like nice and toasty because it's a heated toilet seat. So that was pretty awesome.
So it's the toilet seat from hell.
Yep.
But in a positive way. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. I didn't see any like spookies.
That's okay. I had a spooky thing happen to me just here at home last week. I was laying in bed. I like to watch a little, like, sitcom or something before I go to sleep. And so I'm laying in bed watching my show. My husband is outside playing, not outside, but outside of the room, playing a video game. And so I'm just in there watching it. And all of a sudden I look up in the crack of the door and he's just standing there, like, staring in. But it's dark out, and, like, so I'm just, like...
Why is he doing that?
I'm sitting there watching, and I'm just like, Ryan, why are you being creepy? And he's like, oh, you're awake. I'm like, yeah!
But still, if I was sleeping, that makes it worse.
This is so bad. He's just like, well, I didn't know if I should... Like, I was going to shut the door, but I wasn't sure if, like, you were awake or asleep, so I was trying to tell if you were just, like, if you'd fallen asleep, but I couldn't see you.
So he's just, like, smiling and creeping in the door.
Being creepy. But that's what it is.
That is a horrifying story.
It wasn't pleasant, guys. My husband occasionally creeps me out. I told you about the time back like 5 years ago when we were living in New York, and he is laying next to me just staring up at the ceiling with this creepy grin on his face. Like, it was 2 a.m. He was definitely asleep, but his eyes were wide open and this freaky grin just staring at the ceiling. I have to have a high tolerance for fear, apparently, being married to this guy, because he likes to keep doing weird, creepy things.
Wait, that's perfect, because we now have a theme song for Ryan, if I can get it pulled up. Yeah, Jake has never done that. Like, I've never just caught him staring at me.
Oh, he's so sweet.
I'm trying to think if there's ever been a time where he's just been in the shadows looking, but I can't think of a time that he's done that.
You're missing out.
It sounds like it.
Yeah.
Let me get this going. So Ryan's just creeping in the shadows.
Are you playing the creeping song again? You've used that before. Yes. You've used this song before.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can't keep going back to this song on this podcast.
Yes, I can.
It's all you've got. You've got to increase your song list here because this is all you've got. This is
perfect for what Ryan was doing.
Yes, but you also used it for creep.
Creeper.
Yeah. In other news,
wait, I gotta do the slow fade out.
Okay. All right.
Sounds legit that way.
That was the way. It was like we were mixing it ourselves, instead of Laura holding her phone up to a mic.
That was brilliant.
In other news, the second season of the Santa Clarita Diet is out on Netflix.
Oh my gosh, it was amazing.
You watched it all already?
I am home alone for the weekend. Yes, I watched it all
I only
in 2
watched
days.
the first episode, but big fan of that show. I think that it is the most unexpectedly brilliant casting of Drew Barrymore ever in the world.
Oh, yes. She
great.
is amazing. The whole cast is amazing.
Yeah.
The daughter.
Yeah.
The husband.
The geeky neighbor.
The geeky friend.
Yeah.
The neighbor mom, Lisa.
And now and now the grocer, who's clearly gonna have a bigger part in this. This first episode was pretty like, she goes and attacks this guy and it just splatters the entire kitchen. It's disgusting. Yeah, he basically explodes. It's pretty gross, but it's awesome. And then next week, A Quiet Place comes out. Yeah.
Next week?
Yes, next Friday. So I'm going to be out of town, so I might not be able to see it. But you should go see it opening weekend, and then next week you can tell us about it.
Oh, I will go be seeing that. I will be going. I've been waiting. I have been waiting since they announced it, and they didn't even have a trailer yet. Because I follow John Krasinski on Insta.
Yes.
We're friends.
Super
and he follows me back. No,
he loves our podcast.
He's actually one of our biggest supporters.
He is. He just doesn't want to be on the podcast, which is weird.
He's
not willing to help us out.
Well, he's waiting until A Quiet Place comes out. He's like, I'll promote it afterwards since you guys give spoilers. Yeah,
obviously. Sure. Why not?
Yep.
Fair.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, I watched the Scariest movie on Netflix according to the Tweeterverse.
Yep.
And
I told you about this.
Well, I had been hearing about it too, but yes,
nope, I was
definitely...
the first one.
Okay, Laura.
Credit?
Nope.
No credits deserved. Just give me the credit. I did tell you.
You did after I'd seen it going around, but yeah, okay. Yes.
Oh. I'm Sarah.
Anyway.
I know things. Oh.
Anyway. A lot of people were claiming to not be able to finish it because it was so scary. It is a foreign film if you are not in America. So it's foreign to me. If you are, in Spain, it's not foreign to you. How's that? But for me, it's foreign. Just need to clarify a lot, apparently. And so I watched Veronica last night. It's pretty scary. I made it through the whole thing. Yeah, I don't think...
Did you watch it by yourself?
No, I watched it with Ryan.
Good.
I mean, I wasn't going to chance it. If it really was a film I couldn't make it through all the way, I'm not going to do that by myself. But I made it through just fine. It's pretty scary. It's pretty creepy. It's very well done. And,
what is it about? I have never even seen a trailer.
Okay, well, so it's about, the inspiration from this is actually from an actual case in Madrid in the 90s. Ooh. And so they kind of started off saying these events are based off of a police report where the detective actually said, like, he experienced some paranormal shit going down, and it was officially like it's the only kind of report where a police officer in Spain has ever admitted to like experiencing paranormal activity. So that's
it's in his statement.
Yes, on the official police reports. Now, the official police reports are very different from like the actual story that the director took it into. So we'll start with that though. So here's the movie. It's 1991, and it's the day of the solar eclipse. You've got a 15-year-old girl.
Born.
Huh?
The year I was born.
That's right. I don't know if there was actually a solar eclipse the year you were born, but it could explain a lot about you. Just kidding. So, okay, so the film is about Veronica. She's a 15-year-old girl. She's got 3 younger siblings, a set of twins who are probably like 8 years old, 9 years old maybe, 2 girls, and a younger brother who's maybe like 3 or 4. She's clearly the very responsible person at the house. Her mom runs and operates like a bar, cafe sort of thing, so she's always working long, late hours. So Veronica's really taking care of the kids a lot, laundry, chores, all that sort of thing. It seems that their father had died earlier at some point. We don't know when, but he's no longer in the picture. Clearly, Veronica misses him. Anyway, Veronica goes, and the kids, they make it to school on the day of the solar eclipse. Everyone's super excited to go check it out. They go to a Catholic school, so a lot of nuns around, you know. Always a good setting for a creepy horror film when a lot of nuns are around. And they're watching the solar eclipse. Meanwhile, Veronica and her 2 friends decide to get a Ouija board.
So Not that a good idea.
So they can contact, you know, her dad. She wants to contact her dad. And one of the friends, Deanna, wants to contact her boyfriend who died on a motorcycle accident, but didn't bring anything of his, so she can't contact him. Anyway, so the 3 of them are down there in this old cellar with a lot of old religious artifacts hanging around that are like crustied up. It's creepy. It's a cellar. It's creepy in its own right, but it's also just got like a deteriorating Virgin Mary statue and like stuff like that. Anyway, so they go into this whole ritual trying to ask like, are you Veronica's father? Are you here? Are you trying to talk to her? What's up? How's it going? The Ouija board, the glass that they're all holding onto is going crazy. Veronica kind of gets into some weird trance. And easy there. And passes out. The glass shatters. The Ouija board splits into 2. Her friends are freaking out. But yeah, she's passed out and she's whispering something. We don't know what she's whispering, but her friend Rosa like leans over to try and hear what she's saying, and she looks freaked out by whatever she hears. We don't know what it was though. So she finally comes to. She goes to the nurse's office. The nurse is like, well, are you on your period? Are you eating normally? Are you all this stuff? And like trying to figure out what's wrong with her. Are you diabetic? Nothing's wrong. So they send her on her way. And she goes and gets her siblings, and they're like, where have you been? We've been waiting forever. Yada, yada. They get home to eat dinner. And Veronica, like, as she's eating, she goes into a trance again. And like she's just trying to bring a meatball to her face, and her hand just keeps shaking. And it looks like she's really trying to eat it, but it's something else is trying to pull it away from her at the same time. And her siblings are just sitting there like totally freaked out. Like Veronica's going nuts. They call her like Vero for short. But
that demon be hungry.
Or not. I don't know.
That demon does not like meatballs.
Yeah, not a fan of meatballs. So her siblings are kind of freaking out. And she she gets the meatball into her mouth. One of her younger sisters comes in with some milk and sees her, freaks out, drops the milk. The milk, like, leaks out towards her foot, and that breaks her out of the trance, and she, like, throws up the meatball and spews it everywhere. It's just all very... Shit's going on with Veronica. This whole thing is very strange. The Ouija board was still in her backpack. She had put it up on her dresser, and it kept like scooting itself off every time she left the room. So she stuck it under her bed, and then it wouldn't fall off anymore. Like, just weird stuff's happening. The house is going a little funky. Veronica keeps seeing things. Anyway, the first night, she goes to sleep, and there's like this weird, crazy. Oh yeah, no, this is what happens. She's dreaming, or it seems like she's dreaming, and she looks up, and in the corner of her room is someone standing there. Nope. And it's like a deteriorated version of her dad. But he's stark naked. That's uncomfortable. And so she's just
weird.
Yeah, I don't know why he has to be naked. No one wants to see that, but that's what we're looking at. And he starts walking toward her, and she's like, "Are you my father? Like, Dad, is that you?" And then, like, he slowly transforms into, like, this tarred, mummified sort of thing. So it looks almost like it's pretty much the shape of a man. It looks like a walking, gross shadow sort of thing. Does that make sense?
Like a mud man.
Like a mud man. That's a perfect way to describe it. Anyway, so she jolts up, and so it comes toward her and starts reaching its hand toward her mouth and, like, going into her mouth and stuff, and she's struggling and everything and wakes up. And it's late for school, goes to school, and she sees, like, the blind the blind nun staring at her. Now, the blind nun is fucking creepy. She's been around from the beginning. They call her Sister Death. Her eyes are all glazed over, like, they're white. You know, she looks possessed all the time, is what we've come to find. She's an old lady. She's a little bit batty. Veronica is having a tough time at school. She's trying to get, like, the attention of her friend Rosa. Like, "I need to talk to you about what happened. Like, shit's going down. I need to talk to you." And her friend's just, like, ignoring her. It's very strange. They don't want to have anything to do with her. She tries calling out to her after school's over. Like, "What's up? Are you mad at me? Did I do something wrong?" And she's like, "No, I mean, Deanna and I are just gonna have a party at my place tomorrow, and, like, we didn't." She's like, "Well, why didn't you tell me about it?" "Well, because you're always taking care of your siblings, so it's not like you can come anyway." And it's just very awkward and weird. Her friends are like, they don't want to be around her because whatever she said on the floor was freaky, and for that reason, let's not be friends with her anymore.
Girls.
So they go, I know, exactly. Like, this is the whole time I'm like, girls are so mean. Why are they the worst? It doesn't matter what country you're in. Clearly, they're just terrible. Teenage girls are the worst.
They are the worst.
The worst. Anyway. So she goes home again, and she's seeing, like, this. So, no, she goes into the basement back into the cellar before she leaves school to try and find the photo of her dad, because she left it behind. So she grabs it, and the nun is down there. Sister Death, the
just
one who's blind, and, like, and she's smoking a cigarette down there.
Wait,
like,
for real?
Yeah.
Oh, I just said that as a joke.
Definitely smoking a cigarette down there, just kind of like, yeah. So, something's going on with you. Like, what have you got there? And she's like, "How can you tell I have something?" She's like, "Well, I can see certain things, you know. And I see that they're with you right now." And Veronica's just like, "Who are you talking about? Who's with me?" And she's like, "You did something wrong, and you need to fix what was wrong and make it right because you didn't do it." And you're just sitting there like, what the hell? Why won't this nun be helpful if she actually knows what's happening? Yeah. Like, say something meaningful.
They're there with you. Who's there? They are. And you did something, but I don't know what it is, but you did it, and you gotta fix it, and they don't like it, but fix it.
Yeah, and they're not going to go on. So now they're attached to you. And she's like, "But how do I get rid of them?" "Oh, man, no, they're here right now." And it's free. And you're just seeing this nun, like, kind of, she's freaked out clearly. And she's been seeing these things forever. She says that excuse me, sorry. She gestures at her own eyes and, like, says, "I did this to myself, you know, because I couldn't stop seeing them. So I wanted to stop. And so I did this, but who knew you didn't need sight to see certain things."
And now that's all she can see.
Yep, that's all she can see.
How ironic.
And so Veronica's like, "Shoot, okay, I got to figure out." Another teacher comes down and sees that Sister Death is there, and she's like, why are you two down here? And Veronica says, oh, she's helping me with an assignment. The teacher's like, no, she's not, because she's crazy and doesn't help anybody. And so she just turns and says, you must set right what you did wrong. And she's like, see how helpful she is? And she says one more thing, and she's like, it's in the books. Okay, yeah, she's really helpful. And so they go upstairs, and Veronica's like, okay, what books? Oh, the Ouija board came with a number of little magazines in it for which to explain the undead. I'm gonna go look those up. And so she's trying to read, but the books have already started to, like, burn holes in them, so she has to go buy another Ouija board to get to figure out what it is. So what happened is she didn't say goodbye to the spirits properly. She didn't close the Ouija ceremony because, the glass shattered and she went into a trance and, things were lighting on fire. So what are you going to do? It's hard to say goodbye when you're in that state. So she needs to redo this Ouija ceremony to make it right. Anyway, that night she's seeing, also the nun told her that, like, she has to protect her siblings. Like, they're going to come after your siblings, so really take care of them. So she looks in the book and sees, like, the Viking protection symbols and draws those out and hangs them over her siblings' beds and everything. And they're like, this is weird. Why is that? These are ugly. I don't want these over my bed. And she's like, it's something we did at school. Just deal with it. They're all very, like, responsive siblings. I keep thinking of, like, me trying to get you guys to listen to me at all growing up, and it'd just be like, no, screw you. Anytime she's like, clean this up, they're like, okay, and they do it, and just think, what the hell? Why are they doing this? No fighting back whatsoever. It's pretty ideal.
Yeah, we'd be like, you do it.
Exactly. No, there would be no, like...
You're not my mom!
Like, when she vomited...
Didn't Mom say we have to clean it up?
When she vomited, she, like, looked at Lucia, her sister, and was like, clean this up. And she's like, ugh, okay. And I'm like, what? You're cleaning up your sister's vomit? No questions asked? Great.
No.
It's amazing. Anyway, so, like, she's giving her little brother a bath, and she runs out because she hears, like, her name being called, and she thinks she hears her sister screaming, so she's running out to go see what's happening to them, and then hears her little brother. He's getting scalded in the bathtub. Like, the heat just went up, and she pulls him out, and he's all, like, burned all over and stuff. And so when she's putting, like, rubbing like aloe vera on him or something for the burns, she's just like, I'm so sorry, I must have turned the water too hot. He's like, it's okay, it wasn't you. This is like a 3-year-old boy saying this, like, I know it wasn't you. And it's just like, who was it then? Never get anywhere beyond that. He's sleepy, goes to sleep. Anyway, that night she also sees, like, the shadow. So the thing about this creature is it kind of will operate as a shadow and then come out into 3D form. So, like, it's like watching an evil Peter Pan, like, lurk through.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like lurking around and moving towards her twin sister's room, and she sees, like, then its hand, like, comes out of the wall and goes to strangle her sister, and so it's strangling one of her sisters, and so she jumps onto the bed trying to, like, wake up her sister, and her sister thinks that Veronica has been strangling her. Like, why were you doing that? She's like, I wasn't. You guys, you don't understand. And she starts telling her 9-year-old sisters that there's some creature in the house and, like, it's dangerous. We have to, everyone grab your mattresses. We're all sleeping in the living room tonight. And they're freaking out because, can you imagine me, like, telling you at any point that there was some evil presence in the home? Don't, it's just like... You would be freaked out no matter what. Even if you didn't believe it.
Where is her mother?
So her mother, remember, she operates a bar, and so she works late hours. And so, like, the whole time you're thinking, where the hell is the mother? Like, anyway, Mama! So they're out in the living room, and there's another instance that kind of happens. I can't really remember what, but everyone's freaking out, but she sees, like, their door is kind of like one of those not see-through glasses, so you can only see, like, shadows coming up, and it looks like the big monster is coming again, but it's actually their mom coming into the door. So they're all screaming and freaking out, and her mom opens the door and, like, what is going on? Why are you guys all sleeping out here? And so, of course, Veronica's trying to say nothing, because she knows her mom won't believe her, but the twins give it up immediately. There's something evil in the house, Mom. It's a spirit. Veronica's going to keep us safe from it, though, but there's a spirit in the house. And she's like, what the hell are you telling these kids? Like, this isn't okay. Everyone go to bed. So they go to bed, and earlier that day too, their neighbor had like come and knock on the door, and she's like, "Are you guys like dancing up here? Like it's so loud all the time. I'm sick of it." And she's like, "No, we're just doing homework. We haven't been doing anything." And she's like, "Also, do you have a mold problem? Because right under your bedroom, there's a big, massive black spot on my ceiling right now."
His home.
And so we're just kind of like, okay, weird. Anyway, so yeah, the next day, she tries to get Rosa and Deanna together to redo the seance. Like, we have to close this up right. They all think she's crazy, and her best friend, Rosa, is just like, "No, we're not going with you. Like, I don't know what's going on with you," but she's like, "Do you not remember what you said to me that day?" And she's like, "What are you talking about?" Veronica's confused. "I don't remember saying anything." And Rosa says, "You told me that you were gonna die today."
Like today, as in
like
the day
3
they
days
did
later.
Oh, okay.
Like, she's like, when she was on the ground, like muttering those words in her trance, she was apparently saying, "I'm going to die in 3 days on June 21st or whatever." And so, as a friend, I can see why you would then decide, "I'm going to have nothing to do with you in that case."
If she would have said, I'm going to kill you in 3 days,
that
then
might
maybe.
Be a reason.
But if she says, "I'm going to," why would you? Oh, well then I'm not going to hang out with you anymore because I didn't say you could, and you're just trying to get all the attention.
I only sit with people who live.
Now everybody's just going to feel bad for you, and I'm not going to tell anyone, and we're not going to be friends anymore, Veronica.
Exactly. So poor Veronica decides then that night she's going to pull in her siblings, her 2 twin sisters, to help her recreate the seance.
I don't know why, I'm just picturing... I'm picturing Louisa as Veronica from Bob's Burgers, and Tina...
Oh, Louise?
and Tina and the brother... Gene, as just doing whatever Louise says and just going along.
So clearly I'm making this sound super scary then, if that's what's happening. Anyway, so she has her 4-year-old brother go draw on the walls of the house the protection sign, the Viking protection sign, but he's also flipping through the pages and like looking at so he's drawn a few of the protection signs, which is pretty impressive for a 4-year-old, quite frankly, because they aren't exactly simple. Mm-hmm. He keeps flipping through the pages of this book though, and he sees another symbol, and he's like, "Okay, I'll draw this one too." It's the symbol of invocation, which means, let's invite the spirit in. So it's a little bit conflicting when you've got the invitation sign and the protection sign. I wonder if they cancel each other out.
I'm gonna do that at my next party.
Yeah.
Please enter, don't come in.
The choice is yours.
We've
given you options.
But it's not.
Anyway, so they're sitting around on the floor. They've got the old Ouija board that she's taped together. And they're trying to say goodbye to this thing, and it's not working. And the camera's doing this really cool thing where it's just kind of going in a slow circle in the middle so that you see each of their faces over the course of 3 minutes as this progresses. And so they're trying to say goodbye. Veronica's saying, "We want you to leave, get out of the house." Things start shaking, lamps start flickering, stuff kind of falls off the wall, and the door slams shut to the room that they're in. And so she keeps reading, and it's like, "Okay, well, say a mantra or sing a light song, and that'll help push them out." And so they're like, "What do we sing? What do we sing?" And earlier in the movie, the little 4-year-old brother, who's not allowed to be on the seance, but is sitting on the couch watching it all, is like, let's sing Centella, which is a jingle for a floor cleaner that he's obsessed with and has just kind of just been singing. So they're just singing about this floor cleaner.
Brilliant advertising.
Just really, Centella, it makes me so happy because I've got all the free time, Centella, or whatever. It's just, it's kind of adorable, but also it's like a scary contrast because you're seeing the 9-year-old girls' faces just kind of freaking out. They don't know, they're hearing things. Everything's shaking. It's getting nuts. And then just pandemonium sort of breaks out. The lights go out, the creature is kind of coming, and Antonito, the little brother, is I think he gets somehow dragged out of the room and into the bathroom that they then can't get into. Her sisters are freaking out. She's saying, "Stay here, don't move. I'm gonna go get Antonito." She goes to try and get him. She breaks the glass window to get into the bathroom and kind of stumbles in, knocks her head out. The creature smashes her head against a window. Like, it's all a lot happening. She picks up Antonito and then goes into the living room where the sisters are, and she's like, "We got to get out of here. We got to get out of here." So they're running out as, like, more pictures and crosses are falling onto the ground. They get downstairs to leave, and her sisters are like, "Wait, where's Antonito?" And she looks down and she's not holding anything. She thought she was carrying Antonito, but she's not. So she's like, "Okay, you guys go outside. I'm going to go upstairs and get Antonito." She goes up there, and as she's running through her house, everything starts falling off behind her. It's just everything's getting destroyed. She goes into her bedroom, and in her closet is Antonito, and he's plugging his ears and just saying Vero, 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 Vero. They call Veronica Vero for short, and he just wants Vero. And she's trying to get him to pay attention to her. So earlier that day, he had said that Papa had come and read him a story, and it was strange, but it was nice. He's gonna come again tonight. It's fine. And she's like, "Listen, if he comes again, I want you to plug your ears and not listen to anything he says, and I want you to call for me as loud as you can, and I'm gonna come and help you." So what she ends up realizing, because he's not looking at her and won't listen to her, she's like, "I'm the evil thing. It's me." And so she picks up a piece of this glass from the mirror that had broken that she was going to use to stab the evil creature, and she makes like she's going to slice her neck open, and it looks like she does, but what happens is she had called the police too at this point because she's freaking out. Someone's in the house, and this is kind of how the film starts, as they show the 911 call or whatever, and he walks into her completely, like, it's crazy. She looks like she's seizing up. She didn't actually slice her neck open, but she's like on her tiptoes, arched backward, somehow like balancing in the air, completely, like, it looks like, what's that, like, wheel position in yoga? You know what I mean? Where your back is facing the ground and it's arched and your hands and legs are pushing you up.
Yeah.
So she's almost doing that, but without using her arms, and she's just kind of arced backward, and she's like screaming, and her mouth is so wide open, and her eyes are straight. Like, it's just horrifying looking, and the detective's like, "What the fuck is this?" And they go and they get the little Antonito out, and she collapses to the ground. They get her in an ambulance because she's still alive, but she dies shortly thereafter. And the detective, like, looks down on the ground. He's investigating the rest of the home. All of the beds have these black spots in them where the kids were sleeping, kind of like the black spot mentioned that the woman had seen. And he looks down at Veronica's photo that had fallen to the ground, and her face just starts burning out of the photo. So really creepy stuff. So yeah, this is it's based off of this event that happened. It's a very famous case in Spain, apparently, in the 90s, called the Vallecas case, about Estefania Gutierrez Lazaro. She had done something similar. She wanted to contact her boyfriend who had died on a motorcycle accident. And so she got her friends together to do the seance with a Ouija board. And then over the next 6 months, she's having hallucinations, seizures, all sorts of weird things. She eventually, no doctor can figure out what's wrong with her. Her parents take her to the hospital like a number of times. And, 6 months after the seance, she just dies somehow, and no one really knows why or what the cause of death was. There was no police investigation necessarily while she was living because it was a health issue. But then the parents and the family kept experiencing weird things in their home after she died. And so that's where like the police come in and they're investigating this stuff and seeing some really weird things happening. And so that's why this police report is like, it seems like some paranormal activity was happening in this house. And when like the family moved, there was no more after they left, but apparently in this apartment, whoever moved in had some weird like shit happening to them. So that's kind of what inspired the story of Veronica, I guess.
What?
Yeah, no, I thought it was, I kept thinking like she's gotta be, I thought it was like The Exorcism, like she's gotta be, maybe she's got epilepsy or something that's going on. I mean, maybe it's a mixture of like hormones and like PTSD and because of her dad's death and the fact that she's got all this responsibility and she's lack of sleep and like, you know, maybe she's seeing all these things, it's in her head and like she's just passing it on to her siblings because, you know, kids under a certain age are gonna have wild imaginations, and if you implant some stuff in them, they're gonna like. Yeah. So what if she was actually strangling her sister that night? You know, but in the real case, I've been trying to figure out like what people think it is. No one seems to really know. Someone suggested on Reddit carbon monoxide poisoning, which like if you're in the house like and you get minor carbon monoxide poisoning, you can get like these hallucinations and seizures and stuff, but once you leave the house and everything, you can be just fine. And that can the side effects of that sustained over a long time can maybe kill you. Okay, fine, maybe, but like also the rest of these people she had younger siblings in the house too, and I know they say carbon monoxide affects people differently, but I still don't. It's an option, but it just is, people seem to just not know, and I need someone who's more professionally inclined in the medical field to explain this for me. It doesn't look like any of them have taken an interest in Veronica for some reason. Come on, doctors. I mean,
well, you might get Jason who listens to this to go watch it now, and
yes, tell us what's up.
He's very logical, so he might be like, "Oh, it was just a split personality disorder with a mix of carbon monoxide poisoning and her medication."
Yeah, I don't know. They like I said, it reminded me of The Exorcism, but The Exorcism has more and we talked about this, I can't remember what episode, but if you look back at some of our previous podcasts, I talk about The Exorcism and some of the real life events that inspired that film, and that one seems to be better researched or explained, at least, in spite of the original story happening back in the 60s or whatever. But this one happened in the 90s, and it doesn't seem like anyone has any explanation, especially considering like the hauntings continued. Like things would fall off walls, lights would go out. The detective saw like doors just randomly shut, and this is all in his police report and everything. So that's what makes it really compelling, I think, is just that a police officer, a lead detective that is, actually put it in the official report that paranormal activity was taking place, like something truly strange, and it was official, like it had the official police stamp on it and everything. And so yeah, it's pretty wild.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So was it as scary as you thought it was gonna be?
No, I expected to be scared like 20. Like, I mean, there was freaky stuff, don't get me wrong. It was really creepy and very well done, I think. I don't think it's the scariest movie on Netflix. I'm sure there's something else that's scarier. I just think it's well done, and that's what the story is pretty coherent, and the scares are very creepy. These hands coming out to like shove themselves in her mouth and everything, like it's creepy stuff. They did good with it, and it was I thought it was it's up there with The Exorcism for me. Just a very well done horror film.
Nice.
It's not bad. I think you could maybe handle it now that you know everything that's coming.
Yeah. Not by myself.
But not by yourself. I do recommend it. I think folks should watch it. It's pretty awesome. And that's all I got.
Nice. That was a good scary one.
Yeah, it was good.
Yeah.
And they all lived except for
They
Veronica.
all lived happily ever after.
I figured she'd end up murdering all her siblings. That's honestly where I thought it was going to go, is that they all died. And it'd be some gruesome, like, you know, bloodbath. But it wasn't.
But it wasn't. She just killed herself. Well, she didn't. Something happened.
But anyway, I do have a grim story if we want to hear that.
Okay.
Sorry I'm talking so much, guys. It's not my fault Laura didn't want to watch Veronica.
It's your fault.
Anyway, today's grim fairy tale in the grim corner, or whatever we call it, is called Faithful John. Once upon a time, there was a sick king who was dying, and his favorite servant, Faithful John, was his favorite. Anyway, the king is dying, and he's like, Faithful John, please, please, please take care of my son. He's kind of my favorite son. But here's the thing. I want him to have the whole castle. I want you to show him every part of the castle except for the last chamber in the long gallery, because there's this picture of the princess of the golden dwelling, and she's super fly, and if he sees this picture, he's just gonna fall violently in love with her and become a dumb idiot, putting himself in grave danger. So do not let him see this picture. The king dies, the prince then becomes king, so now for all intents and purposes, the king is now the prince. You follow?
Okay.
The prince is now the king. So the king that I'm talking about, he insists on seeing the painting, of course, because he's getting shown the whole castle, and he's like, why won't you show me that room over there, Faithful John, huh? What's up? It's like, no, your dad said not to. And he's like, no, show it to me, or I'm gonna just freak out. I'm gonna find out whatever I can do to get into this room and see the painting, so you better show it to me.
You better show me, I'm gonna lose it!
So he opens the door, and the prince immediately faints. He sees this picture and just loses consciousness. He's so in love with this girl, and so he's like, yo, FJ. That's Faithful John. We've gotta get to this princess. I've gotta have her. She's gotta be mine. I'm so in love. Like, what are we gonna do? And so Faithful John is like, I mean, she really loves gold, so we should figure out a way to just show her all of the extravagant gold you could offer. And so they do this. They get the goldsmiths to make everything in the kingdom super pretty and gold, and they put it on the ship to go sail off to find the princess and show her the gold. Faithful John goes to her first, shows her some examples, and she's like, oh my god, I'll buy all of it. I love it so much. And he's like, actually, we have a lot better stuff on our ship over, on the dock, so you should come out and see that. And she's like, okay, I'll come to the ship and see that. So they get her into the boat. It's taking a few hours to get through all of the gold, and what she doesn't realize is they've actually sailed off with her in the boat, because naturally that's the only way you can win over a woman, is just to take her be against her will, unknowingly. She wanted gold, she's gonna get a moving trip instead. So
that is bad advice.
It's not the way to woo a woman. Anyway, so she freaks out. She's like, how could you do this? I've been kidnapped. And he's like, no, don't worry. I'm not a merchant. I'm actually a king. And I saw your picture and fell super in love with you. So it's cool. And she's like, aw, sweet. Okay, I'll marry you.
Oh, so sweet.
Meanwhile, they're continuing to go through the gold and stuff. And Faithful John is out on the top of the ship, writing music. And he overhears some crows talking. And the crows are talking about how, like, shame for this king. There's no chance he's going to get this bride. It's all going to go wrong. And the crow's like, oh yeah, because when he gets to land, a horse is going to be waiting there. And if the prince mounts it, it's going to fly away with him. And the only way he can be saved is if someone else shoots the horse in the head. But if that someone tells the prince about this, that guy will get turned half into stone. Okay? Great. So all he has to do is shoot the guy in the head and not tell the prince about it, and all's good. Crow's like, yeah, but also, though, after that, the prince is going to get home to his castle and see his bridal garment all silver and gold and pretty and want to put it on. But little does he know, it's made of sulfur and pitch, and that's going to burn him up once he puts it on, and he'll die. The only way he'll be saved is if someone with gloves throws the garment into the fire. But if that someone tells the prince, the other half of him is going to turn into stone. Okay, so that's all he has to do is just not tell him, shoot a horse in the head, throw a garment in the fire, he's good. But wait, no. After the wedding, the bride is going to fall as if dead while dancing. And if someone does not suck 3 drops of blood from her right breast...
What the hell?
She's going to die. And if the person who figures this, who sucks the blood out of her, tells anyone about it, they're going to be completely turned into stone. So, of course, Faithful John does all of these things. Everyone thinks it's really weird with the first two. Like, how could you shoot a horse in the head? And the prince, king, whoever he is, says, you know what? If Faithful John did it, he had good reason for it. So don't worry, guys. It's cool he shot the horse in the head. Same with the beautiful gown, beautiful garment. You know, everyone's like, why the hell would he just throw it? He's losing his mind. He's like, no, if Faithful John did it, it's fine. But then when Faithful John carries off the bride to suck blood out of her right tit, that one gets the king. He's not too happy with that one and sentences Faithful John to death. So as he's about to be hung, Faithful John's like, wait, do I get one last speech? And the king says, yeah, sure, give us what you got. So he tells the king about what the crows had said and how he actually just saved everybody's lives. But because he tells everyone, he turns into stone. And so the king is upset and miserable. He keeps the stone in this stone Faithful John in his castle just to make him and the queen sad all the time. The queen ends up having twins. And, you know, they're super happy with the twins, but the king is just sort of, you know, crumpled next to the statue and being like, Faithful John, I'm so sorry. If there were anything I could do to make you come back, I would do it. I'm so sorry. And for whatever reason, this makes Faithful John, the statue, able to talk. So he tells him, listen, you actually can bring me back. You just have to cut the heads off of your your twins and drain their blood onto my statue and I'll come back. And the king's like, okay, that seems reasonable. I do owe you everything. So, and I love my sons, but off with their heads. And he does it, and, you know, Faithful John comes back to life. It's great. He's like, thanks for doing that, bro. Guess what? I'm also magical now, so I'm gonna, you know, rejoin your kids' heads with their bodies, and they'll be fine. And so they're all happy and fine and everything. But they go hide in the closet for some reason as the queen comes in. And she's just like, I wish there was something we could do about Faithful John. I'm just so sorry about this. And the king tells her, well, listen, we can cut off our kids' heads and bring him back to life that way. And she's like, you know what? It's the right thing to do. We should do it. And he's like, great, I'm glad you feel that way. Surprise! Here everyone is. The end.
And then it's chopping heads off and sucking bloody titties.
That's what it is. Think we did well.
Yep, that was a good one. Good tale to tell.
I thought so. I learned a lot from it.
Yep, Faithful
if
John.
By a lot, I mean nothing.
Well, guys, thanks for joining us on this journey today.
It's been a ride.
Go
watch Veronica.
And
Laura will talk to us about A Quiet Place next week. Go see it.
Go see it. I already think I know everything.
Yeah.
Oh, I already called it, but we'll see if I'm right.
Well, tell us what your prediction
is. It's aliens.
It's alien?
Hey, it's aliens. They got an invasion attack, and I called it.
Okay.
And I'm going to talk like this. I'm going to talk in my New Zealand accent the whole time I tell the story of A Quiet Place, because it's not a New Zealand film, so that doesn't make any sense.
I think our listeners will
love that. Love it!
Alright, talk to you guys next week.
Cinna Sisters out.
Bye.